So now that we've been working on the details from both of our stories for our paired reading text, now we're going to put it all together. And the first thing we're going to start with is the introduction. Now, if you remember when we did a literary essay, your introduction included some basic elements. You always had to have the title and the author from the story. Well, for a paired reading, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to include the title and the author from each story. That's extremely important to remember, from both stories. You're then going to include your thesis. But basically, this is going to be the answer to the question. It's going to be your claim. It's going to be your response. So let's take a look at the example that I've been working on. To the story, Too Much Trash and Ton of Trash. So you can see here's my question. In the story, Too Much Trash, it mentions that many people are working to solve the trash problem. Based on both texts, describe the trash problem that people face today. So I'm going to read you my introduction, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to break it out to show you all the elements that I've included. In the stories Ton of Trash by an author unknown and Too Much Trash by Les Mess, the trash problem that we face today is that we are being overrun by garbage due to people using too many packaged goods. These packed goods are overcrowding our landfills and producing too much trash per person in the United States. Alright, so let's go through the elements of my introduction. The first thing that you'll notice is I have my stories listed here. Ton of Trash here, and Too Much Trash. I don't know who the author is for Ton of Trash because it was written by a company called Reading.org. So I wrote by an author unknown. I could also have written by Reading.org. And then here for Too Much Trash, I wrote that it was by Les Mess. I made up that author's name just for an example purpose because the author was unknown. So you would never create an author's name, make one up. You would list it as an unknown author. And then I go ahead and I restate my question. My question here is, describe the trash problem that people face today. Well, I say here, the trash problem that we are facing today. I am restating my question in a very simple way. And then I'm going to include my thesis or my claim. It's my answer, my response to the question. The trash problem we are facing today is that we are being overrun by garbage due to people using too many packaged goods. That is my thesis or my claim to this answer based on the details that I gathered from my stories. I then go ahead and I choose two really important details, only two of them, because those are going to be the details I'm going to write about in my next two paragraphs when I start writing the body of my story. This is going to be a short essay. It's not going to be a full 5-paragraph essay, so that's why I'm only writing two details. These packed goods are overcrowding our landfills. That was one detail where they talked about the landfills and the overcrowding. And they're producing too much trash per person in the United States. I had a lot of numbers that I was including in my details about the amount of trash that people were using. So I include those so the reader knows in my introduction what I'm going to be writing about later on in my story. That is a complete introduction. The names of the stories, the authors, I restate my question, I include my thesis or my claim, and then I include two details that I'm going to be writing about in more detail later on in the story. And that's what your introduction should include. You today, during reading workshop, are going to write your introduction. You're going to type it out into pages, and you are going to submit it to the standard-based grading Dropbox in reading workshop. And that needs to be done today. Then tonight, as I'm reviewing your work, I will provide you feedback on the structure of your introduction to make sure that your introduction includes all the required elements that you will be needing. I will not be going back and reviewing and providing feedback for you on your thesis that you did last week. That feedback was already given over the weekend. So good luck. Type out your introduction. Make sure you include all the details. You write clearly and submit your work to the Standard Based Grading Dropbox in Reading Workshop.